Sounds good. Well, episode 6, season 1 of Around the Table podcast. Today I'm joined with Jonathan Varghese / JV Shots. So can you tell, for those who don't know you, who is JV and who is Jonathan Varghese?
So Jonathan Varghese is just a regular guy that works a tech job. But JV was kind of born out of JV was born out of Jonathan Varghese, kind of being bored with work, not really knowing, like having a creative outlet and just kind of like thinking, okay, like how do I make myself be happy and kind of have fun, but in a different way, because I kind of wanted to reinvent myself, but not necessarily like be like, okay, hey, Jonathan just doing something now. He's taking photography. It was very easy for me to just throw my initials on like a page, hide my face. Like that page, so like I had a Jonathan Var account, my Instagram account, which is a personal account with just my friends and family, people that I meet obviously now. But when it came to JV Shots, it was kind of like, like I can hide my face, pull up, like just show
like
up at random events. Yeah, almost like a hidden like superhero Batman type situation where it's like, okay, I'm gonna take these photos. No one knows this is the same person. Because I also wanted to have like a differentiation where like for me as Jonathan, I felt like I built up like this humor, and I was like kind of like a naturally like, like, I can make jokes and make people laugh. And funny.
You do that well.
But I didn't. But I also didn't want that to leak into like JV Shots where people actually wouldn't take it seriously. So I had a point where I was like, oh man, like if anything I did almost came off as like a comedy show almost, where it made it like not as serious. So if I was trying to say like a serious topic or opinion or anything, I felt like it was just kind of thrown by the wayside. It's like, oh, this guy's just joking around, or like, oh, Jonathan's serious now all of a sudden. But with JV Shots, it was like a brand new like clean slate where like I post up pictures, serious pictures of like basketball or hip hop or something, like anything that I liked. But it wasn't given with a preconceived notion. It's like, oh, this is Jonathan Varghese. Oh, that guy? Oh, he takes photos now? Oh, okay, cool. Like, I just liked the idea of separating. So I actually didn't really follow a lot of the people from my personal life on that page when I first started. I was literally I made this account, and it was almost like a Finsta at the beginning. Where I was just taking pictures. I was showing up at events like, hey, I'm JV. And I would introduce myself to new people through the photography-wise, where I'm like, hey, I'm JV. And I almost made myself a new person by doing it that way. And basically, I was working downtown. I was working at the Score at the time, and I was at King and Spadina. So it was like kind of like the heart of Toronto. Where after 5 o'clock, I would just leave with my camera, to walk around, find events that were happening, take photos, kind of like fly on the wall situation. And it started really just with like basketball training, because I really like basketball. And there's a video, and I'll link you the video so that way you can like maybe cut it in at this point. But it's like a video of a guy named Chris Copeland, who was a basketball player that played for the Knicks. And it was not your typical like workout, like, you know, like the quick cut iPhone type of looking videos where the workouts are. It was like color graded, slow mo, him dunking himself in ice water after a workout, like stuff that you don't see in like workout videos.
When was this? Do you remember?
The video must have been shot and made, I want to say 2015 or 2016. Because he was on the Bucks at that time. But it was like this like storyline where it's like, because he got stabbed outside of a nightclub out like while he was playing for the Knicks. So they cut that scene from the newscast into the video. And I'm like, yo, this is not a workout video. This is like a serious storytelling video. And it was made by, I forget who the guy made it. But him, and then also when I was on YouTube, this random friend group out in the Bay Area would just shoot videos. And I realized like none of these guys are like they wouldn't call themselves filmmakers. They were just people with cameras. But the quality felt like, oh man, like this is a filmmaker's, like this is like real quality video. And I was like, I can do this. Like, and it seemed very very cocky and like toxic of me to think like these guys, oh man, they're just doing it just because they picked up a camera and went. But when obviously like when everything's said and done, I realized like, oh shoot, I gotta put a lot of effort into this. But at the time, I was like, let me buy a camera and do exactly what these guys are doing, where they just show up at things that they like. So like this friend group in Bay Area, they just did a escape room at I don't know if you like, I forget the Giants stadium, but I guess the Giants stadium, they hosted it there. And they shot, it was like a mini vlog, but the quality was amazing. And I was like, yo, what camera are they using? A Panasonic GH4? Okay, let me.
You searched it up?
So I searched it up. I left a comment, I was like, hey, what camera are you guys using? It's like GH4. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy that. Obviously, I didn't have the money at the time like that, so I bought like the buddy camera underneath, like the really crappy version of it. I'm like, okay, I'll buy the G7, I guess. It's like $200, $300 worth. Bought that. Bought a lens, and then I started messaging all of these like workout, like all these like trainers in the Mississauga area.
As soon as you started.
The second I bought, well, even before I bought that camera, I'll be like, hey guys, this is my page, JV Shot. I'll reach out through JV Shots.
Okay.
It's like, hey, like I shoot videos. I haven't posted anything yet, but I have videos. I could do your workouts for free if you just let me just be in the gym.
Yeah.
So one of the first guys that reached out, or like at least responded, which I was really like so happy about, was David Tyndale. I think I told you about. He's from Mississauga, basketball trainer, and like he asked me to come out, and we shot a guy named Jaron Skeets, and he's from, at the time he was at University of Buffalo, Buffalo University, one of the two, but he was there in the gym. And I was like, oh shoot, this guy's a D1 player, and I'm thinking he's gonna bring in high school guys just to kind of like practice with me like, with the camera, because this is my first time. This is my first real like basketball shoot. Like I had no idea what the heck I'm doing. I have a camera. I'm like, how do I slow mo this camera? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, oh yeah, shoot a D1 player, whatever. That's all good. Shoot that, and it was a Friday night, and I remember being like so amped. I'm like, this is sick. I'm editing it. I slow it down. It's like, oh, the frame rate didn't jitter. How did this happen? Why is this? Oh, okay. I'm learning as it goes. And I feel like that's how I was just in general in life, where it's like I could study all I want. No, true.
I love it.
Actually, that reminds me. I need to get Uber Eats.
Did you eat?
No.
So after golf, you didn't
I came straight here.
Really?
Well, I mean, I took a shower, obviously, but yeah. I have a ball league tonight. I like.
Right. After like 6
or something. Yeah, 6:30 or 7.
Well, you should have got something. Yeah, like a Timmy's. I would have got you like a Timmy's.
No. I'll get it on my way back or something.
Because I was saying you still burn calories when you play golf.
I thought it was for you guys.
Oh no.
That's even funnier.
No, you still burn calories when you play golf.
Dude, you're walking you're walking 400 yards each hole, 9 holes. We only did a 9 hole today too. But we're like 400.
You ever thought about getting like an Apple Watch?
So I have an Apple Watch, but I upgraded to a new iPhone 13.
Oh,
but somehow
and it didn't
connect. It connects, but I just didn't have the time to like. I'm looking at it, it's like it just kept looping. So it was kind of annoying. But I think once I did it, it was like 5K, something like that, something crazy like that. When I did an 18 hole. But I remember thinking like, oh wow, like I just walked this. It's fun.
I mean, exercise is literally exercise.
Just general,
exercise and physical activity.
And you're walking, then you're swinging and everything. But anyways. Sorry. What were we saying? So talking about.
You were saying David.
So like when I was so David Tyndale. Anyways, I was editing all these videos and I was learning as it goes, because I realized like even just in daily life, like when it came to like school, high school, university, or anything, I was terrible at like listening to a lecture and listening on paper. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why this works. Like when I actually was doing like work exam or anything like at home, like homework essentially. When I was actually doing it, it's like, oh, that's why. Like I had to do it myself. I had to apply it in order for it to actually go through my head. If someone if you tell me everything on paper, I'm just gonna be nodding my head like, sure. Like I believe you. You know what you're talking about. But until I do it, and I see it succeed or even see it fail, I at least learn something from that because I did it firsthand. But it's the same thing with cameras. So like I was editing, I'm like, oh wait, why is this? When I slowed down, it was jittering a little bit, but when I slowed down this video, it wasn't. What was the difference between the two cameras? Like, oh, I had the shutter speed at this number instead of that number. Then I Google it, and it's like, oh, okay, that's why. You had to have your shutter speed half of this, blah, blah. Like, all these little things. I'm like, oh, what the heck is going on? Like, there's a whole world here. Like, it's not as simple, like, you point and click, and then you slow it down, speed it up. Like, there's different ways, even, like, movies or documentaries. Like, everything's shot in a different frame rate. But, like, these are things I didn't know. And obviously, I was being ignorant because I'm thinking, oh, anyone could pick up a camera and do this.
And you're doing this after work, right?
I'm doing this right after work.
So like Friday, you're working 9 to 5?
9 to 5. So basically what happened was, after university, I had gotten a job at the Score. But the weird thing was, like, I still had, like, 2 or 3 electives left. And I went to school at Brock. So I had 2 or 3 electives left, so I went to Ryerson.
What did you do at Brock?
I did economics. It had nothing to do with what I'm doing. So economics, got a job doing quality assurance, testing apps, doing manual QA. Did that at the Score, 9 to 5, and then from 5, so basically 6 to 9, I was going to Ryerson to finish off my electives. So I did that for a semester, and then once that finished, I realized basically every minute of my day, I'll wake up, shower, change, go on the TTC, TTC to work. Then from 5 to 6, I'm walking to Ryerson from King and Spadina. It totally takes like a half-hour walk, but then from there, setting up, boom, boom, like. Every waking moment of my day for that semester, essentially, of like while working, I was doing something. So when school finished, I was like from 5 to like 9:30, 10, 11. I'm not doing anything on a random Monday or Tuesday. So I was like, what could I do with this time? And that's when I kind of realized I was bored in life in general. So I was like, okay, let me buy like a camera.
Well, where was that born from though?
I think so. The mix of that Chris Copeland video, but like I was really into like YouTube videos and like. Also, I just love basketball in general. So when I seen like basketball videos, but it wasn't just a simple like run around with the camera and shaking, and it's like all this like kind of like like low effort kind of quality videos.
Yeah.
When I saw like, oh, these are movie color graded videos, I was like, yo, let me get in on this.
Yeah.
But let me do it my way. Like that's something that people weren't doing in Toronto.
Okay.
Like cinematic, basically, is the idea. It's like cinematic basketball workout videos. And that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, I feel like maybe like one or two of my videos maybe touched this little bit of what I wanted to do, but it morphed into what it was. So like obviously you have your end goal, but typically, and I think we talked about this a lot of times, where like you have your final goal, but you never really get to that.
Yeah. The
And that's
route,
not a bad thing.
always,
You always end up somewhere else, but if you look back and it's like, oh, that goal was so like low standard, like it wasn't even like the craziest thing I could have done.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was thinking, oh, cinematic basketball videos, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, this basically came out of me being bored, because I had like going from every waking moment doing something to having all of a sudden from 5 to like 11 p.m. free. I was like, okay, well, I need to do something.
Yeah.
Like for me, if I went right into the workforce where I had that free time after 5 o'clock, I think I would have been like, okay, this is adult life now.
Yeah.
But because I had school for a little bit of that, it really made me realize how much time I could utilize. Like I got like the courses like finished within that semester, like just because like I was just kind of like chilling and doing it all, because I had that time from 5 to 10 basically, coming back home, going there, commuting, everything. But yeah, so I bought the camera, and I just started messaging all these guys, David Tindo. So that one Friday, shot that D1 player, came home, edited that night, sent it to him. I was so excited. He loved it. Whatever, great. Sent it to Jaren as well, the basketball player.
Okay.
He uploaded it. I was getting amped off that, because it's like, if I upload, I had like maybe like 150 followers or something like that, and I was like 20 likes, 30 likes, maybe 50 likes at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, this is great. Like, look at this. But then when he uploads it, this guy's like a legit like D1 player. He has a big following. Yeah. So he uploads it. I'm getting a crazy wave of people. People are DMing me. He's like,
just as you start. Because I find that so crazy. I'm listening to you, and it sounds so crazy because usually when people start things for the first time, they're still super like nervous about it. As far as reaching out to people.
Well, like, I'm still nervous. Like, I was like freaking out. I was like messaging with people and like, and I'm not confident in myself.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
it's a big imposter syndrome situation where I'm like,
So are you just like putting that to the side? Because even to go out and send the message, like that's still a step you have to take.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I think there was a mix of like, it's the same thing what we talked about right at the beginning, where it's like, Jonathan Varghese would have been scared to message people.
But you had.
But JV Shots, it's like some like
different guy.
My Batman face.
That's smart,
I'm in there. I'm like, I have nothing to lose at the beginning.
I love
it's
that.
Literally if someone like message me like, yo, bro, that's not how you're supposed to message people. Or if I messed up, let's say I really like responded weirdly, I'm like, okay, let me shut down JV Shots and start up another page. Like just restart from the beginning. But like luckily that didn't happen, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this correctly or something. But so anyways, like that David Tindo, and the next day he like responded, like, hey dude, like you want to come out for another run? I got another guy. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll show up. I'm thinking high school again or D1. And it turns out it's Nick Stauskas, who's like, in the NBA, plays for the Philadelphia 76ers at the time. And I'm like standing there, I'm like, oh shoot, this guy's like he's right here. This is an NBA like not even like potential NBA or potential, or he's literally an NBA player. And I'm like, oh man, this is like my second shoot, like properly shooting basketball. Like I've done mini workout high school stuff, like when I reached out to high school kids, I'm like, hey, can I shoot your workout? Before that, but like this is like a real trainer hiring me out to come out and just shoot. So I shot.
You're doing this stuff for free, right?
Yeah, everything's free.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's why, because at that time I didn't know what value was, how much time. Because for me, I took it as a hobby. So I'm like, hey, like this guy's giving me an opportunity to shoot. I'm not going to charge you.
Yeah.
Which is I mean, like I wouldn't suggest that, because I think people should learn their value early on, and I struggle with this a lot.
But you start to appreciate it more because you were doing it for free at the beginning.
Yeah, I was doing it for free, and even now here and there, like even like when I took that 3D photo of Jonathan, he texted me and said, bro, I'm going to get you lunch. I'm like, what? Like,
that sounds like Freddy.
You don't need to get me anything. Like, I still treat it where it's like, I'm doing this like as a favor, or like I have the means to take these photos, take these videos. Why am I going to charge it? Because I have that weird mindset, even now here and there, for certain things. But like, at the same time, the more you do that, the more you get taken advantage of. That's something like I've learned like the hard way, obviously, where it's like, taking all these photos, I'm driving out of my way, doing all this, and I'm like, wait, why am I doing this for free? Like,
Can you talk about that then?
Yeah.
Some examples?
So, like, I mean, I had, like, there was one artist early on my, like, when I first started JV Shots, and then it was, like, I really wasn't into, like, shooting hip-hop or music in general. I didn't really, like, understand it, because I was like, oh, wait, what could I even do with music in general? Like, I like basketball. That's all I wanted to do JV Shots as. I wanted to grow as a basketball photographer or videographer. But an artist hit me up. He's like, hey, dude, like, got a concert coming up. It would be great if you just stop by. I'm looking at his followers. It's like, oh shoot, this guy follows. Oh, there's some OVO members here and there, and I'm in my head, and that's kind of like what we were talking about before, where it's like the whole like end goal here.
Yeah.
And I almost went at it in a negative way, where it's like, oh, if I shoot this guy for like X amount of time, he'll give a good word to these guys, and then OVO is gonna hit me up, and I'm gonna do all this stuff. And I'm thinking like such a negative way, where it's like a toxic way. I'm thinking of the end goal.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Whereas I should be like, oh, like I should approach this guy who's reaching out to me to do whatever he wanted to do, and like see if it's actually worth my time either.
Yeah.
So like we were shooting, and we had the guy was a great person, but then it got to a point where it was just like constantly like, hey, like we're at the house right now. Be cool if we get some shots. I'm like, okay, sure. Stuff. But you're like you're out pretty far.
Yeah.
So I'm driving out of my way, going out east from like Mississauga for free. I'm not asking for money. Then even like with the film, like the 3D photos and stuff, it's like film photography, like that costs. Like me shooting digital photos, it's very like, for me at the time, I remember thinking like, oh, how do I charge someone for free photos? But for like film, it's like there's a literal cost for me to get this photo out of this film roll. So like I would ask them like, hey, could you just cover the film? And I'm getting like $20 at a time. Yeah. Just for like the whole day's worth of me chilling with these guys. And I started lying to myself where I'm like, oh yeah, like if I stick around long enough, that's how I get on tour and all that stuff. And then it just turned out, it's like, oh man, this is not like, I think it wasn't him per se, but it was like someone else reached out to do something even more mundane than like just like, hey, show up to the studio for 1 hour, let's take some photos if you don't mind. And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, hey, what are your rates? I'm like, oh, this guy's asking for my money. Yeah. And I didn't even meet him.
Was
I
that
didn't
the first
build
time
a
you
relationship. That was someone else. I mean, I probably gotten paid before that, but it was for music-wise, it was someone else I reached out. I was like, hey, like, dude, if you come up to this thing, I can pay you like X amount of dollars for this many 3D photos, if that's cool with you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And I'm like, and then I look back at this other guy. I'm like, yo, I'm coming to this guy's house, taking photos, lifestyle, like kind of like candid photos for free. And I was like, this is not probably like the right thing for me to do. And I realized it wasn't just him. It was like a lot of people that I was working with. Where I'm like just shooting for free, and I realized like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be, like it wasn't like their fault. Yeah. Because I kind of set the precedence, whereas I'm like, hey, like I'm just shooting this stuff. I'm not asking for money. Then I realized like, oh man, I'm screwing myself over. It's not their fault. Yeah. For them, like who's gonna like? There's some people obviously like people can say like, oh, they should have asked for money. Or whatever. At the end of the day, like I didn't even ask them. I didn't push them to be like, hey, these are my rates. These are whatever. And that's something I learned like the hard way, because I basically did like free shoots for like 3, 4, 5 times for these guys, and I'm just kind of like there, hoping for the best, hoping for like, oh, if they get a big deal, I'll get some of that money type thing. But obviously that never happens. So the stuff like that, like I realized, and then slowly it's like, okay, I have a shoot. If it's me like trying to learn like a new style of photography, and it's with a couple of my friends, I'm like, yo, like, do you mind just modeling this? And like I won't like we won't like I won't pay, like we'll pay or whatever. Like there's like none of that type of stuff, because it's for them. They post it on their portfolio. I post it for my profile. And this is more like candid. It's like, hey, we're going out for lunch. Can you just take some photos beforehand? I just want to try this thing. And then from there, it's kind of like a proof of concept where you upload it on your page, people see it, they like it, and then a brand will reach out. It's like, hey, like we like what you did here. Yeah. Could we do it? And it's like, yeah, sure. Could we bring this model though into this? So that way everyone eats type thing, right? Yeah. Instead of it being like I'm gaining from this, or like I'm doing this or whatever. But yeah, no, there's I think those are the times where I realized early on, it's like, okay, I gotta charge for my stuff. And it worked out in the end, obviously. Once you get certain brand deals, and certain people have, like certain like companies have the money, so you shouldn't be afraid to ask for that. But it took me a long time to kind of realize that. So
then I'm wondering, so when would you say you started photography in 2015?
No, I bought my first camera end of 2016. Okay. But 2017 was kind of when I was semi taking it seriously. Like I had the camera, and I just didn't really know I didn't know what my niche was per se. But in 2017 is when I was like, oh, let me get into film photography. And then I started Googling around. It's like, what the heck is film? Like, how does this work? How do I develop film? And I'm like, a lot of people are like, they didn't really know. Like, I guess there was like a sudden wave after the Kendall Jenner posted the film camera. Yeah, yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay, let me buy a film camera too. Yeah. And then I started Googling it and trying to like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I seen like someone online post a picture of his dog, and it was that 3D GIF. And it was like this photography forum. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. And then I like searched some more, and there's a guy in UK named I want to say Adam something, but he also did 3D photos for like brands in UK.
Those were the first time you'd seen it?
I've never seen that before, except for that time when I started Googling like that type, like 3D film photography, blah blah. There's only guys in like UK, maybe one dude in LA at the time, who's Michael B. Jordan's photographer. Okay. Right now, Leo something, I don't know. But I remember thinking like, oh yeah, let me get into this. Let me shoot this type of stuff because this would be sick. Yeah, I bought the camera. I bought it for $20, and the camera was in Saran wrap. And I like had to cut it out, and I like Googled it. Like the camera's from the 80s. Like people like this camera had not been opened yet.
Yeah.
Since then, and I Googled more of the company. It turned out like the company had went under because at the time, obviously there's no digital scan. It wasn't meant for 3D like what we see now, like what I post. But it's more for like you send it to them in Kentucky.
Oh, and
they'll
then
send you back a spin wheel with a little hole in it. And you chuck it basically.
Yeah.
And you'll see it moving. But that wasn't like obviously like who's gonna do that with their film back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Sending it all to Kentucky, price, cost, everything. So the company went under. But obviously that whole company made a bunch of these cameras. They're really cheap material. But now in like at the time like 2017, 2018, that's like now is slowly kind of bubbling up. And I remember taking the camera, taking all these photos of my friends, posting it, and getting no love. Like no one cared. They're like, oh, what is it, a boomerang? I'm like, I remember feeling like so like upset about that. I'm like, man, I gotta put this camera away because it's a waste of money. First off, because it's a film camera, so I'm paying.
It's expensive.
Like each roll maybe is like $15 to $20. You get 18 photos out of a 36 roll because it's splitting frames.
Yeah.
So basically, I was losing money every single time I took photos of it. And it wasn't like a gaining anything. People didn't even like it. So it was like a weird like middle ground. I was like, why am I spending money for things that people don't even like? I liked it. Yeah. And I think that was a realization where it's like, I was so fixated on Instagram where it's like, oh man, if people don't like it, I'm not going to get followers.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And if I don't get followers, I'm not going to, these followers are not going to like it and they're not going to share it. So why am I going to take photos of them? But at the end of the day, I like those photos. Even way back then, I liked those 3D photos, but like, I let other people decide what my feed was going to be. So I stopped doing 3D photos for a little bit of time. And then I think out of the blue, like I guess obviously the picture stayed on my page. Yeah. But I hadn't really posted a lot of those. And then someone named Shane Sterling, he had reached out.
I haven't heard that name before.
He does a lot of Nike stuff.
Vanguard?
Yep.
Yeah, because I have a friend that's
so he was like the first guy that actually looked at it and like knew the value of the 3D photo and like saw it in a creative lens. And he like called me up.
Do you know how long this was after you had stopped doing the 3D photos?
It must have been like honestly a few months or so.
So you just left it there?
Yeah,
I
just
nothing?
put the camera's collecting dust, and I had the post still up. Yeah. And I really liked the 3D photos, so I'll post here and there as a stories. And then he reached out and he was like, hey, like I have a mutual friend that like I was asking about people who do this type of 3D art. And I saw that like they recommended like you posted this like a while ago, wondering if you could like I have a project coming up. I don't know if you'd be interested. I'm like, oh yeah, like dude, like this is crazy. Like this is like, oh, what's the project? He's like, oh, it's for the Nike Air Force Ones. My head exploded. Yeah. Because I'm like, bro.
You're still working at the Score.
I'm still working at the Score. At that time, I think I might have moved to like a startup at the time. But even then, I remember thinking like, oh my goodness, like, Nike, like this is crazy. Like this isn't like some dude like wearing Nike and like showing like, hey, let's take a photo of me in Nike. It's like this is for Nike, like Nike Toronto. I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So like Shane brought me on. He was kind of like if the photos don't come out, like don't worry about it. And he really trusted me with a lot of it, and I really appreciate it. I remember thinking like, dude,
were you guys friends before?
No, we didn't even know.
That was the first time.
That was the craziest thing. So like he like called me. I was like, dude, like I love this stuff. Like I don't know if how it works or like what he was like down to understand the science of it and like let me explain it. And instead of like, and I had a lot of times before that where people who did like the 3D photos, instead of them asking me to come out to the shoot, they're like, hey, what's the camera? I'm like, oh, like, am I just a guy that holds the camera? Yeah. And I didn't like that. I hate that approach where people just ask, hey, what's the camera? What's the camera? Or how do you do this? I've had so many people, like so many creatives in the industry where it's like, how do you do this? How do you do it? Just because they want to learn and take it for themselves.
Were you the only one doing the 3D thing at the time?
I mean, I'm assuming, like I remember thinking at the time, like I don't think I saw a lot of people doing it. Slowly people started picking it up and kind of learning it. Yeah. But I think I was like one of the first, I mean, that sounds so weird to say, but I feel like I was one of the first to do the 3D photos, but maybe at like the amount that I was doing it. Every shoot that I was at, I had the 3D camera on me. Yeah. So whether it was a video or photo shoot, I had the 3D one on me as well. Take those photos, upload those as well as like kind of like a supplement to the set itself. So a lot of people really liked that, and they noticed that I was posting a lot of that.
So
but Shane really reached out. He cared about me as a photographer with this camera, with this skill set, rather than it being, I own this camera, so let's get this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like just because I had the camera.
So what did he say that was different from what everybody else was saying?
Because he wanted me to come out to
the
the
okay.
shoot. Like, he was like, hey, dude, like, come out to the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We have this idea. I really think, I don't know if the 3D will fit the main set of, like, video that we had. Like, the idea was supposed to be Super 8 and digital video and blah, blah, blah. Like, all this, like, kind of, like, black and white style.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, he's like, I don't know where the 3D fits because it looks so different.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if you just came. So it was, like, me, Shane, and LaShawn, who's another dude who does great video work. He's an amazing guy. And, like, that was my first time meeting LaShawn. And this guy's, like, really famous, too. Like, I'm thinking, like, oh, man, I see all these guys on IG.
Yeah.
And I'm meeting them for the first time. And Shane's, like, connecting all the dots. So we shot 3 different people that day.
This is Nike Toronto.
The
downtown?
Nike Toronto one. So we went downtown, and he basically submitted it to Nike. Nike loved it. They posted it, and I think Foot Locker Canada was part of that deal. But, like, it was so crazy to me because I'm scrolling and I'm seeing, like, oh, Nike Toronto, like, or, like, sorry, like, Foot Locker Canada, like a sponsored post, and I see my 3D.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Like, it blew my mind. And the other thing is also he was one of the first few guys who was like, hey, what are your rates? Like, how much do you charge for this? Okay, I can give you this budget. This is the budget I can get. Is that cool with you? I'm like, dude, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, people don't even give me a budget in the first place. So, like, anything, like, if you give me $10, I would have been happy. But, like, the fact that he was, like, charging that and covering the cost of the film and everything, like, he really understood what was going on. So, like, he got that out. And then from there, I think that really gave some vindication to, like, what I was doing. And I realized, like, oh, some people are kind of, like, dumb when it comes to social media. And dumb in the sense, like, people don't know what they like till the masses tell them what they like. So when I realized that, I was like, yo, like, I should just do stuff because I like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the followers. I don't care about this. It's about really who is, like, certain people in certain power kind of really dictate the style.
Yeah, the style and the culture, yeah.
So, like, when people do it, like, people like it, then that's it. And then maybe there's some, like, little people who kind of shake the industry here and there with different types of graphics or, like, 3D or some, like, 3D graphic art type stuff, or, like, NFTs are a big thing now, right?
Yeah.
Like, things like that. There's certain people who are in the spaces that make the change.
Yeah.
But I think from there, like, well, after Shane gave me that kind of, like, confidence to be myself, I started doing a lot more shoots, and people actually reached out more.
That was your first big break, you'd say?
I would say the Nike thing was huge because, one, Nike's just Nike. Like, I really like Nike brand itself. But then from there also, like, the fact that he saw something that wouldn't be, like, a one-off embarrassment or something, like, he saw there's, like, something cool in it enough that he could bring it to Nike and be like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that gave me confidence to be like, okay, let me do some more stuff in this, right? So I bought more film, and then after work I was just shooting a bunch of stuff. And then I had met, like, even, like, a guy, like, a couple people from, like, Adidas, where they were helping me, like, do stuff with, like, their brand. So, like, the new Ultra Boost, and I remember taking those photos. And then, like, at the time, like, I was like, oh, this is sick, like, I'm taking photos for Adidas now, like, this is cool. And then at, like, what's the Eden Center? You know the Adidas right at Eden Center?
Yeah, right.
The outside.
The outside. Yeah, is that Young and
Dundas. Yeah. So, like, there's a big screen there.
Yeah.
And one of my 3D photos was on, like, part of the commercial, like, loop.
Jeez,
And I'm looking at this and like, yo, this is crazy. Like, that was like the Nike thing was cool because I'm scrolling on my own on Instagram targeted ads. But this was like, I'm walking down the street and I see my ad on a screen for Adidas. And I'm like, yo, this is, like, it gave me more. It's one of those things where it's confidence. But it's like, man, I'm seeing my work being, like, out on, like, regular things. So I'm like, okay, let me do more. But I think also that kind of ties in with, like, ego and trying to figure out, like, okay, now, like, instead of being, like kind of subdued, like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I needed to evolve out of that. But I really was, like, so hooked on the one thing that made me, like, quote unquote, like, big on 3D. So I kept doing 3D, but I wasn't really working on my video skills or my photo skills. That's it. So, like, that stuff, I was like, oh shoot, like, I gotta, like, brush up on that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, like, gigs after gigs. So when I had, like, bad, like I was, like, thinking, like, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
this is what you wanted to focus on.
This is what I want to focus on.
This is what
I started getting, like, rusty on other stuff, like my photography skills, my videography skills.
Because it was just 3D.
Because I was just focusing on 3D. But then when people hit me, I was like, hey, yo, you do videos too, right? I'm like, oh shoot, like, I do, but I'm not that great now. Like, I can't tell them that, so I'm gonna take the gig, and then I realized, like, oh man, I really gotta just be well-rounded on these types of stuff.
Yeah.
So then slowly, I think I'm trying to think what connected from Adidas and Nike to, like.
And this is what year, just so.
That would have been like 2019.
2019. So yes, this is the year before the pandemic.
Yeah, so just before the pandemic, everything. So 2019 was like, oh sorry, no, that would have been 2018.
2018, okay.
2019 start of the year, same thing. It's like, okay, what do I want to do next? I want to shoot an NBA game, and that was like my biggest thing because I started with basketball. I want to shoot an NBA game, and I remember, like, I did a string of G League games.
That you would just go to.
Well, not even that. Like, people, like, I would reach out to these news agencies.
Oh, okay.
And there was, like, ATB News was a big one that really helped me out.
Yeah.
And I messaged him like, hey, dude, like, I know you like send out guys to like G League games.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible I could go to one of them?
Yeah.
Like as a photographer? And he's like, yeah, sure, come out.
This is from JV Shots
Through
account?
my JV Shots account,
Yeah,
obviously.
everything from JV Shots.
There's a lot of people from when I started JV Shots, like, no one knows that Jonathan Varghese exists. Like, Jonathan Varghese
So
does
you
not
told
exist.
nobody when
No
you
one
started?
knows who Jonathan Varghese is.
Jeez.
But people don't, like, the flip side is the other side where I think once I started getting the Nike gigs and stuff,
Yeah.
that's when I posted on my Jonathan Var account.
Okay.
Where I'm like, hey guys, like, I started JV
But
Shots.
none of your, like, nobody...
Like, a lot of my, like, some of my friends knew what I was doing. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't, like, wide range. Like, back in end of 2018 going to 2019, I was really like, hey guys, I do JV Shots on the side.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big thing. Like, this is part of my life. But, like, early on, I was almost, like, embarrassed because I was kind of scared. Like, if I fail...
Is this the culture thing?
It's part of, like, the, Indian culture for sure, where I felt like, oh, shoot, if I really, like, go gung-ho on the creative side,
Yeah.
people would look down on it. Because growing up, it's like, you got to be an accountant, lawyer, engineer,
we know.
or a doctor.
Yeah.
Those are the only things you could do.
Yeah.
If you stray away from that, you're like a failure in the culture. And obviously, no one says that aggressively.
Yeah,
that's
but
just like a joke
it's,
of that.
yeah.
But there is like you get a certain stink eye if you're not doing any of those four. And it's like, oh, so like, how do you make a living? Oh, okay, true, that's different. Like, there's a lot of that kind of awkwardness, I guess. So when I did photography, I was almost nervous because it's like, even though I wasn't doing full time, I didn't want people thinking like, oh yeah, like Jonathan's doing photography, but he doesn't shoot anything.
But you're still willing to do it.
I was willing to do it as JV Shots.
Okay.
Because no one knew the Indian side of me.
Yeah.
Even when I show up to shoots, even early on,
Yeah.
people were like, wait,
who's this guy?
the Indian guy? Because a lot of the people in the industry, they're
Yeah.
like, most of the time it's either a white guy, black guy, or Asian guy.
Yeah.
You really don't see Indian people in like creative industries in 2017,
Yeah.
2018, unless like, I don't even think like back then there's like one or two people per set. You see like one brown guy, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, that's crazy. I remember getting so many weird, like not weird looks,
Yeah, but like just surprised.
Oh, like, oh shoot, you're an Indian guy. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it was like also funny because it's like, oh, that's how little like brown people there are in the industry.
Yeah.
Now there's so many. Like, the crazy thing is there's so many brown guys in the industry, and there's so many great brown. It's not just because they're brown.
Yeah.
Like, they're actually like crazy talented. Like,
Yeah.
Like, there's so many guys I can like ramble off, but I feel like I'll leave off a name then turn
Yeah,
into a whole
yeah,
thing.
I know
But,
a couple
there's
too.
so many guys that are like so talented, and now it's not even a race thing. I remember back then I was like self-conscious about that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, should I like put my face on it? Will I get like, let's say the Jeremy Lin aspect of it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's like an Asian guy in basketball. Push him
Yeah,
on.
we'll pick
But
something
like
up.
at the end of the day, it's like I do this work. I don't put my face on it. You liked my work only.
Yeah, then
You're hiring
have
me for this event,
yeah.
right? Or you want to get this photo shoot done. You're hiring me based off just my work,
Yeah.
not who I am as a person, right? So a lot of that kind of like played a role in it, where I was like self-conscious initially, and then I kind of owned it a little bit, where I put like for the longest time JV Shots was just JV Shots. Now I have my full name on there.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, I never put Jonathan Varghese. Like, I didn't know how that would turn into a thing. But I just strayed away from like attaching myself to it till like 2018 when I started getting bigger breaks, like the Nike gig. Or I was like really proud about it, and I posted it, and then I put it out, and then people are like, "Oh wow, Jonathan Varghese!" Like, Jonathan, you do photography? I was like, that's crazy. And then I think 2019 was kind of like my like really good year, I guess, as far as like photography and like kind of like everything that I was working towards. And I think this is something we talk about, luck.
Yeah.
And I feel like
was it? Oh, yeah, because I was gonna ask, was it more so? Was it a result of the work you put in, or was it just opportunities that came your way?
Yeah. So I mean, when people say the word luck, let's say, I feel like there's a negative comment, like oh luck, oh this guy's just lucky,
this guy, he's lucky,
right? But there's a way before JV Shots, like I think I was in high school, but there was a guy named Randy Pauchich. He was a professor. He wrote something called The Last Lecture, and basically he had like really like stage 4 terminal, like really terminal ill, like he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And he knew this, and he was a professor at Carnegie Mellon. So he did something called The Last Lecture, where he just basically imparted all of this wisdom, and essentially it came down to a point where like he was giving this like live lecture for his kids who were like babies, but he wanted them to hear it when they're older, which is probably now.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he said, he has like if I show you the book, like there's quotes on quotes on quotes, like quotes where you're like, oh, I heard this quote before, and it's from this guy, or like something like that. But one of the main things that really stood out to me was he said, like, oh, what was he saying? He said something about like luck isn't just a random thing. It's when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
I love
that
like phrasing, because it's like, oh, luck doesn't discount anything I'm doing. Sure, the opportunity might have never, like, it's such a randomness to the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I was prepared to make that opportunity worthwhile. So same thing, everything I was saying before, like the 3D photos, Shane gave me that opportunity to take those photos.
Yeah.
All those things, people looking out for me, trusting me with this brand, or trusting me with their look, or like they like this, they trust me, give me that confidence.
Yeah.
Led to like where 2019, I basically was like OVO Fest was coming around the corner for summer, and then every year before the festival they have basketball. There's an OVO basketball, right?
Tournament.
The tournament thing.
Yeah.
Every day, Monday, Tuesday, through Friday. And that thing is the hardest thing to get into because it's
as
like,
a photographer.
as any, like even getting in on the Friday, you had to have like a friends and family like card,
Jeez.
which is like weird.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense because honestly, like you think Drake's gonna be there, all these celebrities are there, all these NBA players are there.
Yeah.
Like if it's a free event, people are gonna try mashing themselves in, finding a way in. So I remember thinking like I gotta get myself in. Not only as just as a random person that's watching.
Yeah.
I need to get in with my camera.
Yeah.
And I remember asking her, I was like, yo, like, do you remember last year, like, OVO basketball? Like, were you able to bring your camera in? He's like, no, dude. Like, it's a whole thing.
Oh, you were just asking random?
I'm asking my other photographer friends.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, like, do you remember shooting? Like, have you ever shot this? And the people who did shoot it are, like, really close with the OVO as the brand.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do I get into this? And I remember messaging, it must have been either someone, but they're like, oh, like, why don't you reach out to, like, someone like this? They're all part of OVO. I'm like, oh, these are people I know.
Yeah.
I messaged like, hey, dude, like, is it possible I could shoot, like, OVO basketball? And he's like, yeah, like, how quick could you turn around those 3D photos? It's like, oh, I can do it nightly, like, right away, I can do it.
Yeah.
He's like, and honestly, like, I was lying out of my because I had no clue I could turn it around that fast.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You just said nightly.
I was like, I know if I gave him some hesitancy, or like, oh, I've never done it before, but I can try.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to give me that up. They're going to be like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can do it. I can give you the 3D photos before the next game, meaning like the next day's game.
Yeah.
But I have work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So, and the games start at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So like, I'm essentially like spreading myself like super thin where like I have no time to drop off the rolls of film.
Yeah.
So that whole week, I told my work, and my work was really like, this is one thing, like this is at the startup.
Yeah.
My manager, all those guys were super chill with me.
Okay.
I told them, like, guys, I got a crazy opportunity with OVO. It's not going to affect my work itself.
Yeah.
But I got to drop off film at 10 a.m. and work starts at 9.
Yeah.
I will go for my coffee at 10 a.m. and I'll run there and I'll be back within 10 minutes, like 15 minutes. And every morning I was rushing to the film shop.
Wait, how far is it from where you work?
It must have been like a half hour, like TTC. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going from King of Spadina up to Queen and...
And you told them it would take 10 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that, like, there's something blind there. It was for a week. But I was rushing. I was on the TTC. I had all this film rolling.
Yeah.
Basically, the Monday comes around. I show up, take photos, 3D. Dylan Brooks are there. All these guys are there. This is sick. This is a great opportunity. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, how's this going? Because I'm dropping off the film roll the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm getting the photos back from, like, 4:30 till, like, let's say, like, before the first game.
Yeah.
I'm editing as I'm walking up to the gym again.
Yeah.
And I have the 3D photos, so I'll airdrop it to those guys. They're like, oh, wow, this is crazy. This is sick. Thanks, man. Next day, taking photo. Or, like, that same night, taking photos. Next morning, rinse and repeat every single day.
For 1 week.
For that whole week. And I know Friday comes around. For me, as I'm thinking, how do I get my clout up, basically?
Yeah.
If I get a sick 3D photo of Drake from a corner, like that.
Yeah.
Because there's only, like, 12 of us that are, like, taking, like, our photographers.
Yeah.
So if I get a sick photo of Drake, that's going to, like, blow up my page. I'm not thinking, like, oh, let me send it to these guys. And let me be, like, a good, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking like that. I'm not thinking as, like, a...
You want, like, an opportunity.
Like, in my head, it's like, I see that opportunity is going to come up. I got to make sure these first 4 days are amazing.
Yeah.
Enough that they'll give me a pass for Friday, because nothing's promised also.
Yeah.
Right?
Is Friday the big day?
Friday is, like, the finals day.
Oh, okay.
But that's when Drake shows up. All these celebrities show up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got to, like, take this photo.
Yeah.
I got to be ready for Friday. So I'm practicing also, because I don't know how the lighting is in the gym.
Yeah.
What film stock should I be using to make the best quality photo?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. So I'm taking these photos, develop, boom, boom, boom. Friday comes around, so they give me, like, a friends and family pass thing. So I give it to a couple of my buddies, and then we go Friday, take those photos, and I see Drake there. I'm like, oh, sick, that's crazy. I'm gonna take this photo.
Yeah.
And then Theo Scudra, who's his photographer, he's like, hey, like, what is that camera? And the camera looks weird. The 3D camera itself.
I've seen. That's the one you.
Yeah, that's the one I took a photo.
Yeah, I was like, what is
so
that?
There's like 3 lenses on the camera. It looks like a regular camera, but if you look at it closely, it's weird. And Theo is like Drake's personal photographer.
Yeah.
He knows everything when it comes to cameras.
Yeah.
And he looks at it and he's like puzzled by the look of it. He's like, what is this? And I show him my phone, like, hey, on IG, like, it's film, so I can't show you the picture right away.
Yeah.
But this is what it turns into. I develop it like this.
Yeah.
I stack them, and then it turns into a 3D photo. And he's like, oh, wow, Drake would love this. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I'm No, he's like, calls Drake over.
Yeah.
Drake's like, yo, you got a cool camera, like, do you mind, like, just pose for the camera and you can send the thing.
Yeah.
Take the photo of Drake. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, shoot, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's, like, right in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like halftime or something. So we're in the middle of the court. Take the photo. And then Drake's like, oh, so, like, what is it? And I do the same explanation about the 3D photo, like, stacking, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's sick, bro. Get Theo's number, or Theo, get his info.
Yeah.
And, like, let me get the photo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. This is like, I went from me thinking I'll have this photo for myself.
Yeah.
To, like, oh, this could potentially be sent to Drake.
Yeah.
Drake maybe might like it a lot or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm running upstairs because of that film roll. If I accidentally open the camera, it's
Yeah.
gone.
It's gone.
So I
precious.
I finished the roll. I'm winding it. I go to like a dark corner of like the washroom somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm opening it. It's like, okay, it's done. Take out the film roll. I'm running with this. I'm holding it tight.
Yeah.
I run to my bag. I zip it up. I make sure the bag's in a secure spot.
Yeah.
And I put in another roll of film in. I just ripped through that the whole night, whatever. And then, like, I remember just that whole night was so crazy because I was, like, running on adrenaline. Like, man, I need to get this film developed ASAP. And I woke up at, like, maybe 10 a.m., let's say, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everything's over. I drive downtown, drop off the film roll. I was like, hey, like, do you mind, like, how quick could you get this in an hour? And I was like, oh, well, it's like, what's the holiday in Carabana? What's that weekend? What's the holiday in Carabana?
What's it? What?
Is it, the Monday's off? I forget what the day is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
There's a day off on the Monday.
Yeah, it is.
To the point where the film, like, the guy was like, oh, I can get this to you by Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, time is of the essence.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That's it. Okay, sure. I leave the film room. I drive back home.
Yeah.
So, Mississauga, downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Mississauga. I'm laying in bed. I was like, man, I can't believe I just left that roll till Tuesday.
Yeah.
I call that film spot up. I was like, hey, or I call another film spot up that I used to go to. It's like, hey, this is going to be really random, but, like, is it possible, like, you could do, like, a film development in an hour? He's like, yeah, we could do it. I'm like, okay, I'll be there in an hour. Hang up. I drive back downtown, grab that film roll, go to this other shop.
Wait,
like,
did you pay for it first?
No, yeah, so I paid for it, I got my money back. Okay. Nothing was gonna be unwound or anything. Like, they're just gonna leave it till the tech comes on Tuesday. I grab that roll, I drive to this other spot. I wasted so much gas that morning.
Yeah.
I give it to them. He looks at it, he's like, oh yeah, we can do it in an hour. Cool, do it. I drive home, get it. I'm like editing, like he finishes it within the hour.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, I'm editing it together. I get a couple photos. And I'm like, okay, I shouldn't rush this because this is like the photo. I shouldn't like make it look bad.
Yeah.
And I had church later that night, so I'm like, okay, just spend some time with God.
Yeah.
And like I just leave it. And then like I get a notification. Like Champagne Pappy posted, and he posted Theo's film photos. I'm like, how did this guy get film photos faster? I'm like, man, I gotta send these photos to Theo because like this is the opportunity. Like Drake already posted the photos from Friday.
Yeah.
Why is he gonna double post on Friday? That's so like dumb. So I text Theo. I was like, bro, I got the photos. How can I send it to you?
Yeah.
I'm rushing these 3D edits out.
Yeah.
I have like maybe 6 of them. I texted Theo. He sent him a WeTransfer link.
Yeah, the same thing.
And I was like, now it's in God's hands. I'm gonna leave. Get in my car, put it on Do Not Disturb, drive to the church. And then I look at like as I'm driving, I see a little notification. Theo texts me he's like, "Hey, by the way, like I think Night Owl Sound's gonna post it." And like it's one of their like side like clothing brands through I think Mark and Noel.
Okay.
Like they have their own like DJ set brand.
Yeah.
So they posted because one of the kids was actually wearing one of their shirts. I'm like, oh cool, like great. Whatever. And I'm like, I'm happy about it because that's like a OVO brand posting it. I'm like amped.
And they tag you in it?
They tagged me and everything. So like my page is kind of like, I'm like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Park my car. I'm getting out. I got another notification. I was like, Champagne Pappy tagged you in a post. I'm like, oh. I click it.
What's that?
And then that's like the photo of like the 3D photo.
Yeah.
He uploaded it and tagged me. And I'm thinking in my head like, yo, half the time none of these artists, like lower artists, are tagging me in posts.
Yeah.
This guy's a superstar and he's tagging me. So my head explodes. I'm like, oh man. Like, my phone is blowing up.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many notifications.
How many followers did you have before? Do you remember?
Oh, man. I really wish I took a screenshot.
Yeah.
But I must have went up 1,000 that night, which is crazy. And I'm like, yo, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm more amped that, like, he just tagged me.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, fast forward, like, so that's August. Go to December. And Theo has a gallery that night. Like, just a gallery for his photos. And I text Theo. I was like, hey, dude, like, I bought tickets, meaning it's free tickets, but like I got tickets, I can't wait to hear you talk. And he was like, hey, like if you want, you can take photos too. Like just at the event, like bring your camera basically. Yeah. Just kind of like, you can come in a little earlier if you want, just take a photo and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I come there, end of the, like I took pretty good photos, like all 3D photos. End of the night, like Drake shows up. I'm like, oh shoot. Take another photo. Take that 3D photo. And then I texted Theo. I was like, hey, dude, like, here's some 3D photos again, like, of the night.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's 3D, like, of Drake there. Nothing really came out from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember thinking, like, oh, okay, like, I'm not, like, upset or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have that, like, the craziness is, like, I have the opportunity to send it to someone, someone that's, like, that big. Even Theo by himself is already, like, a superstar as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he, like, I could send him photos freely like that, I felt, like, it was, like, such a confidence booster in general. Because it's, like...
And you have his number.
Yeah, which is, like, crazy. But it's, like, I'm sending these photos, whatever, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm working with these guys. It's not, like, a random running. Like, I'm helping these guys. Like, I'm taking photos for them. And it's, like, nice. It's a great feeling. And then I think, like, at that point, like, no one's telling me not to post anything.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll post the Drake 3D photo. Like, well, it's a cool photo.
Yeah.
And then I think Word on Road, which is one of his, like, fan page accounts, which is, like, a huge account.
Yeah.
By itself. It's, like 100, 200, 300K followers, which is crazy. They reposted and tagged me in it. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Drake had just tagged me in the post. Yeah. But he had never followed. But I think he saw that post, liked it, went to my page, and then followed me. Yeah. And then liked my post. I'm like, whoa, what the heck is going on? Then from there, that turned into a whole thing. Because I guess, like, because Word on Road tagged me, all those guys who follow Word on Road follow Drake. Obviously, they love Drake. So all those people are, like, hitting me up. I'm getting all these stray DMs, like, hey, could you hook me up with OVO merch? I'm like, whoa, what is going on? I'm like, I don't even know what's going on with this stuff. Yeah. But it was, like, kind of one of those things where it was, like, when I look back on it, I think that was, like definitely like a peak of, like, I picked up a random camera, like, years ago. Yeah. Where I was, like, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I remember thinking, like, oh, it'd be great to take photos for OVO, but, like, as a fairy tale type of dream. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, like, getting tagged in a post by the guy, he's like all the other OVO members are posting pictures. I'm in these circles and these types of things, being able to be in those events. It's like, oh man, like, this is, like, crazy to me. Like, it's like I'm living what I wanted to do. And I was so happy about that. But once you hit that, it's like, okay, it's not like I'm dead. Yeah. Like, I'm not dying and I'm ending on the top of the hill. Yeah. Like, life still moves on.
Were you mentally prepared for that? Like, how did you take it? Because...
Like, the post?
Yeah, I guess the post, like, the following and all that kind of stuff. Because to be in that... like, it just happens.
Yeah, it was pretty kind of random, but also gave... Like, I already knew what I could do, like skill set-wise. Like, oh, I can do these 3D photos. I can do digital photos. I can do video. Like, I knew what I could do. I knew my capabilities. But I think other people... Like, when I would reach out to people, I would get kind of like, oh... We don't really like the look, or, like, they won't really.
Did you get that a lot?
I wouldn't get it too much, but I just wouldn't get, like, opportunities that I thought I should have gotten.
That you deserved? Okay.
But the weird thing was, nothing changed, but the Drake thing changed, where he followed and liked my post and reposted. And the same people that were kind of like, oh, the price range of the 3D photos is too much, are hitting me up again. Like, hey, could we do 3D photos? I'm like, what changed? Like, I'm still doing the same exact... If anything, like literally, like, I haven't changed my skill set. The 3D photos haven't gotten better. They're the exact same photo as they were the day before I took those photos of Drake, as they are the day after. Yeah. So, like, that's why I go back to that whole, like, people don't know what they like till the masses say it. Like, till Drake posted that, people really like the 3D photos. Like, those people in Toronto. So I'm like, oh, okay, people like it now? Like, I don't get it. Like, what changed for you people? Like, like, I don't mind taking these photos. I agree. I like the look of them. But it was just so crazy to me. So, like, the video and all that, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think I was semi-prepared because I was thinking I deserved a little bit more recognition or more, like, reputation with, like, oh, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. Yeah. But I wasn't getting it. So when that following came, or, like, when the Drake tag and follow came, that kind of, like, it kind of balanced it out where it's like, okay, this is where I feel like I deserve to be at. But kind of back to, like, what I was saying, like, after that, it's like, oh, where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I had, like, a really weird, like, imposter syndrome moment, or, like, where it's like, okay, then now what? Like, oh, like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, at this point, do people know JV Shots is Jonathan Varghese when that Drake thing happens?
Yeah, I think the lines really blurred at that point.
Okay.
And I really made JV Shots just a serious photographer guy, and then Jonathan's just a goofy guy on the side. But I think once that happened, I kind of realized, like, oh, why am I hiding this? Like, I should be proud. Yeah. Like, I almost got, like, embarrassed that I was embarrassed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, why was I ever, like, so, like annoyed that, like, I didn't want my name attached to this? And, like, obviously at the time it made sense, but, like, now it's like, okay, like, two can live at, like, the same time. Yeah. So I kind of, like, blurred the lines in the sense where I had my name there. I would introduce myself when I'm at, like, JV Shots event type stuff, or I'm meeting people through my JV Shots page. I'll be like, hey, I'm Jonathan. Or, like, even like when we meet people at like church and stuff, like John,
Yeah.
like, oh, you can call me JV or whatever, like whatever works. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, like I don't really, I don't
Jaden
see a
calls you
difference.
JV.
Yeah, people call me JV or Jonathan. Like I really don't see a difference in the
Yeah.
two. So in my head, I'm like, okay, like that's okay. That's also not a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think after that, I had like an imposter syndrome. I was like, wait, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Like I should be okay with this, right? Like I hit all the kind of mini goals I wanted to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But now what? Like, what do I have to do now? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, let me figure this out. Let me figure that out. Okay, let me do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, then I started getting really nitpicky with things that, and it was a good way where it's like, I didn't have to worry about like getting like gigs just because I need money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I already have a full-time job on the side. So I'm picking up stuff that I really care about.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit, it was actually like, I think a lot of people, I mean, depending on who you ask and where they are in life,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people took it in like stride almost,
Mm-hmm.
where they needed that break. Because I felt like after that follow from Drake, I felt like I was like under like a crazy man. Like anything I posted,
Yeah.
this guy's gonna see it. But also
Yeah,
all
the
these other
expectation.
people are gonna see it.
Yeah.
So I need to keep outdoing myself. I need to get crazier gigs. I need to do, and I put myself in such a weird pressure mode. Even though like I thought I matched where I felt like I needed to be,
Yeah.
because I matched it there, I pushed myself even. Okay, now these are the goals I need to hit. Now I need to be on tour. Now I need to do this. Now I need to do that. And I'm like, wait, what am I? Why am I pushing?
And this
myself?
is just a conversation you're having with yourself.
With myself.
Yeah.
Like at night, I'm just laying in bed. I'm like, man, how do I one up this? Like,
yeah.
like how do you one up that photo? Like, you know what I mean? Like those stuff. Like those are things that you don't one up.
Yeah.
Like these are just things that happen. You just kind of like, but you're just happy that it happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I was like so like in my head where I was like, man, I need to kill it now. I need to do even better. And it put me in such a like toxic mindset where it's like anything I take, like I was scared to post stuff.
So how long did it take after you posted that Drake photo? Do you remember how long it took you to post another photo?
It must have been. I mean, I can look at my feed, but I feel like after that Drake photo, I was like, oh man, I don't even think I posted anything till the next like. Maybe I did a random 3D photo or like a random video edit, but like it was something I really wanted to make sure it was like fine tuned.
Yeah.
And I had like final version 32
Oh, really?
plus dash draft like in my phone. Like I had any of those videos I just over analyzed because I was so worried that it wasn't gonna like hit as well.
Yeah.
Then I had like the December time where I had like gallery, took that photo, so that was another great photo, let's say.
Yeah.
And I was really amped about it, but then there's another high where it's like, how do I match this?
Mm-hmm.
And then luckily, I had reached out, and so this is funny enough. Like I hit another goal of mine, which was the NBA thing, and I reached out to so many people. I was like, "Hey, I need to shoot Christmas Day game.
Yeah.
Like I need to shoot a Raptors game. I don't care how."
Who are you hitting up?
Everyone, man, everyone that was because of that Drake follow that really helped me out,
Yeah.
honestly. Because a lot of people in the States were like, "Oh wow, this Jonathan guy, he shoots basketball too.
Yeah.
Like let's follow. I'm gonna follow him." So I was reaching out to a guy named 8i Media.
Okay.
He does a lot of video guys. He's really close to a lot of Philly guys. One of those guys being Kyle Lowry. I messaged 8i. I was like, "Hey, dude, like, is it possible like you could help me out get a gig, like with something like shoot something for the Raptors,
Yeah.
or like the Celtics because they're coming up for that Christmas Day game."
Yeah.
He's like,
This is 20.
This is 2019. End of 2019. He's
Okay.
like, yeah, I can hit up Kyle. I'm like who? I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, which Kyle? Are you talking about? And I'm thinking like, oh, Celtics like trainer Kyle. Or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Lowry. I'm like, oh, say word.
Yeah.
And then on my media pass, it was like guest of Kyle Lowry. My head exploded. Like, yo, there's moments where like I had to pause and be like, man, this is like crazy.
Yeah.
I just bought a camera just because I was bored.
Yeah.
After 5:00, to a point where I'm like, I have like a guest of Kyle Lowry thing. Like, there's so many other photographers who are way better than me.
Yeah.
Who are getting like crazy gigs with Slam and like Sportsnet, like, and they're really like they really deserve those like media passes. So for me to get just a 1-day pass, I was so amped. Like I was over the moon.
Yeah.
Just to be like in cahoots with these guys who are like crazy photographers.
Yeah.
And I'm just like shoulder to shoulder, like, hey guys, like I'm here too. Like, look at me. Like I don't deserve it. Like I really didn't think like because my camera at the time was terrible. I had like a good video camera, but I didn't have a good photography camera.
Okay.
And I remember thinking like, oh yeah, I don't think I should be here, but
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm here. I'm gonna take these photos. And I was taking photos for Kyle, all these guys, a bunch of other guys were there, and I was like just like crazy to me because it's like I'm at a Christmas Day game.
Yeah.
Like there's like the OVO Christmas Day shirts.
Yeah, yeah.
Like all these stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab this shirt. I'm gonna put that on.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go here and take this photo. And it was just crazy because like little opportunities like that. It's like I just really like was so happy. And then after it, I hit that pressure point where it's like, okay, how do I one up?
Yeah.
And I realized like once COVID hit, like everyone was on pause.
Yeah.
Because like that was a couple months after December, right? March.
Yeah, around March.
So like that from December to March, I was really in my own head. It's like, man, how do I one up this? And I was really in hyperdrive. I'm like, I need to beat this photo. I need to beat this post. And then COVID happened, and then everyone had to pause. Like, nothing was happening. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice thing. Like, low-key, like, obviously, everyone has a different story with how COVID affected them, pandemic affected them. And it affected me negatively, too, overall. Yeah. Like, there's some stuff that was negative, some things that are positive. But, like, I really needed that break. But it was hard for me to take that break knowing other people are also elevating, let's say. Yeah. Because it's like a toxic side of me. It's like, oh, man, people are working hard. How are they doing this? But for, like, a few months there, like, I could pause knowing everyone else has paused because there's nothing going on. There's nothing to take photos of. Yeah. People are taking photos through an iPhone. Like, you remember, like, I feel like that was a big thing in the photography community.
It was, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, like, people are just trying things. Yeah. And it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, I get to try new things. Like, even one of my, like, Ali.
Yeah, Ali, yeah.
Like, I texted him. I was like, dude, like, want to just take, like, a photo on your driveway?
How'd you meet Ali, by the way? I actually don't know.
That must have been...
Because I think he modeled for OVO.
Yeah, so he modeled for... Like, I had nothing to do with, like, OVO on the branding side, like, clothing stuff. Yeah. But I really think it was a mix of, like... Oh, actually, I really don't know. Yeah. I'll probably text him and ask him.
Because he was modeling and then
he was modeling, like, a bunch of stuff for OVO. Then he had his Perplex brand. And I think I really like the Perplex brand. But he must have followed me or I followed him. We, like, followed each other probably mutually at the same time. Yeah. And it was kind of like, hey, you got... sick stuff. Yeah. And he's like, hey, I like your photos. Like, so we just mutually connected over that. Yeah. So I was like, hey, can I take these photos? And I was like, and also, Ali's a great guy in general. Great guy, yeah. He was, like, open to, like, a lot of different ideas. And, like, I had all these ideas. So it's the same thing kind of going back with the whole, like you make a proof of concept. It's like, hey, like, are you cool if I take these photos and I go to Walmart, print them out, burn the edges, and make a slide photo? Yeah, yeah. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, he was cool with me trying out new things.
He trusted you.
Even though it's his brand and it's his image and stuff, he was cool with me to do all that stuff and, like, try out different, like, the 3D photo. Or how about we tossed the jersey in the air and we took a 3D photo. Yeah. Like, things that other brands probably wouldn't, obviously,
He gave you, like, creative direction.
He gave me so much opportunity just to do that, like, creative ideas and stuff. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, Ali was someone, like, during COVID, I was, like, texting him, like, hey, dude, like, be socially distanced. I don't know what COVID is. Yeah. But, like, maybe you want to just sit on a chair in your driveway and I'll sit across the street and I'll take some photos on film. Yeah. And we did that. And I dropped off the roll of film downtown. Everyone's masked up, but everyone's downtown. Like, people are like, those stores are opening only a couple hours at a time. Yeah. Drop off the roll and I'll dip right away. And it's just, like, little things like that. It's like, oh, I had a calm pace. I wasn't in hyperdrive. I could post whenever I wanted to post, and I didn't have to, like, rush to do this and that and that. There's no due dates. Brands are trying to figure out what they're doing. And also, work was work from home, too. Yeah. So I was kind of, like, just chilling back. Even now, we're work from home. But, like, it's just a relaxing time, to be honest. Because I was just kind of, like, chilling. You didn't have to worry about anything. Just doing random events. Like, maybe, like, one odd thing here and there. But it was never anything that I exhausted myself that I was doing from that December to March time in 2020. Yeah. I was, like, really stretching myself thin. I'm like, oh, I got to do that. And so that gave me really to put life in perspective. And that's when I kind of, like, okay. Not that I don't care for JV shots. It's just kind of like
you don't have the same, you don't have the same pressure.
Yeah, like, I don't have that feeling of, like, anxiety where it's like, I need to post and I need to make it greater. Like, even now Instagram has a feature like the hiding likes thing. Yeah. Which I love. Because it's like, I don't, like, why did I ever care about my like count? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to, like, people, it's the same thing, the masses thing, where it's like, people say, like, oh, 1,000 likes, oh, that must be a great post. Yeah. But if that same post got, like, 10 likes, do you think people are going to like it? No. Some people probably wouldn't, just because they don't know what they don't like. They don't know what they like, yeah. So it's like, same thing, turn off the likes, turn off that. I'm just kind of like, oh, this is nice. Just relax. Try out new things even. Like, I made, like, the fake game cover. Like, I just put, like, I printed out a fake PS2 cover for an album, and I just put it in and I made it look like a game. Yeah. Like Kanye West album, Jesus King. I made it a fake GameCube game. Yeah. Like, stuff like that. Like, I was just trying out new things, and I realized, like, oh, like, sure, I take photos, but I'm not a photographer. I just like doing creative stuff. Yeah. So, like, making a fake game or stuff like that, or, like, even, like a VHS set. Make a fake VHS thing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Those types of stuff, I just like trying out new things. And then also, that kind of turns into a thing where people like it too. And it's like, oh, hey, like, could we try for our brand and do it that way? So yeah. Very cool in that sense. But yeah, there's a lot of anxiety, though, before that. So I'm really happy where it says, like, JV Shots is just a page. Yeah. It's its own thing. It's an Instagram account where I periodically upload to. And that's it.
So then is it one of those things because... Like, we even had the conversation before when we were at Game Time about, like, how, like, obsessive at the time you were about, like, the likes and stuff like that. So, if it wasn't for the pandemic, were you going to do something to try to either maybe not negate it, but try to temper it, whereby, like, I can disassociate myself from that?
Oh, no. No. Not at all. I was, like, in such a mode of, like, I need likes, I need followers, I need to connect with this superstar, I need to connect with that star, I need to get this, oh, look at me, I'm doing this, I took this photo. I was like such a crazed mode.
And comparing yourself to other photographers too at the time?
Yeah, yeah. I would see other guys and I would be like spiteful, like, how did he get that opportunity? How did this happen? How did she do this? How am I not in these circles? And I realized like, why am I looking at these, like after the pandemic and after they paused, I was like, why was I looking at these people? Like why was I comparing myself to these other people? They're in a totally other lane. They have a whole other skill set.
Yeah.
Yet I was still being like, oh, why can't I be there? Like I was so like selfish almost.
Yeah.
But I really think if there was no COVID, no pandemic, I really feel like something else would have happened where I would have been burnt out. And then maybe I got to that point where of like calmness and be like, oh, okay. But at that point, I was JV Shots.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If that makes, I don't know how.
No, I know what you mean.
Like
you see that in movies where you get so attached like to the alter ego.
Yeah. And I was me. Like that was JV Shots. There was no difference. And I felt like a monster where I was just trying to pump out content. I'm a content machine. I need to do this and I need to do that.
Yeah.
Then I realized. Then at one point I was just like, after the pandemic thing, I'm like, that's what calmed me down. But without the pandemic, like you're asking, like I feel like I don't know what something might have like stopped me.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, calm down, relax. But I don't know what that would have been. But like the pandemic was like because like that was like a perfect storm of like everyone pausing.
Yeah.
So it at first made me feel like okay to pause.
It's okay, yeah.
Then after being paused for a little bit, it's like, oh, okay. I should just like JV Shots is an Instagram account that I have the password to.
Yeah.
That I can periodically just throw posts like, hey, I took a cool photo.
Yeah.
Is this a photo dump for me, or is it like a fun 3D that I can just throw up like on this?
Yeah.
And then once I started separating it, the pressure of getting gigs or meeting the right people just would come naturally, I felt. Like if I didn't get a gig or if I didn't get this opportunity, I wasn't so hard pressed on myself. It's like, Jonathan, why didn't you do this? Oh, well, you messed up the wording here. Oh, you're too aggressive on this message.
Yeah.
Like I was just kind of like, oh, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. It's okay. Obviously, it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I really wanted this opportunity, but I'll take it. I feel like I'm taking a lot more stuff in stride more recently where it's like, okay, it's okay that didn't happen. Like, let me just learn. Let me figure out why. Or let me pick up like a new skill set. Let me do this. Let me do that. Like, it just feels more calming now to a point where like JV Shots is just there.
And it's crazy because you're doing this. You got these gigs and you're doing it part time.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever? And I've asked you this, but like, have you ever considered doing it full time, or is this something you just see like a part time thing? Because to get these opportunities, like there are people that work 24/7 and they don't get the opportunities you got. But it's not like you weren't prepared, like you said. But even still, like I feel like if I was in your shoes and I got a glimpse of what I could do, and I'm not spending as much time as the other people that are doing it, that I'd be more enticed to want to do it full time.
Yeah, I mean, I think before even when you asked me a couple weeks ago, like, I was like very hard pressed on a no.
Yeah.
Never do full time. I think there's like certain opportunities where I'll be like, okay, if you can match my salary this way, I could understand doing it full time. Like there was like some stuff that I did like the last few weeks where I'm like pulling in like the same 5 to 10 like you saw, like after 5 o'clock I was kind of doing work.
Yeah.
And I was just shooting and I just felt like, oh man, like this is kind of like a glimpse, like a perfect glimpse of if I were to do it full time, where every day from like Thursday to Thursday essentially I was shooting after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is kind of tiring, but I get it. Like I think I could imagine myself doing it, but right now honestly, like there's like not like. There's only a few here and there, like I wouldn't say what, like I feel like there's some opportunities that if it were to come up, I'd probably be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But really, I can't see, like I found like a perfect middle where it's like, I'm working, I'm learning, like even like just like in our job, right, like my job right now, tech-wise, it's like, I'm learning that sense, and then I get a creative outlet afterwards. Because if I feel like if I made JV Shots a full-time gig, I really wonder what would be my creative outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because JV Shots is still a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, I'm like, I can play video games. Like, even during COVID, like, I was playing COD every night.
Yeah.
From, like, 5:01 p.m. till, like, 3 a.m. in the morning.
And the golf. You're doing the
golf
too.
now, like, that takes up a lot of my time. I waste so much time.
Wouldn't that be your creative outlet then?
Yeah, so maybe. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. I feel like back then I couldn't dissociate JV Shots from being a creative outlet. So it's possible that it could be that. But, like, right now, I still want to make sure JV Shots is just a fun exciting thing that I get to meet new people, and it's like for me I really like talking to people. I really like meeting people. I just love people in general, like people skills wise, so like I enjoy that JV Shots give me that opportunity because on tech, like you talk to your team, maybe you talk to a couple like PMs here and there, but you're not really like actively meeting new people constantly, because if I didn't have JV Shots and I was doing my tech work, like I'd have my friend circle, and then my job, and that's about it.
That's it, yeah.
But JV Shots, I'm meeting like a new person almost like every other week.
Yeah.
Because like during like before the pandemic even, I was meeting new people constantly, and I really enjoy that. It's like, oh, I see how this person perceives this. Oh, how do they react to this or whatever? You know what I mean? I really enjoy talking to new people and having a reason. It's like, hey, I take photos.
Yeah.
But let's talk also. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's not like just an awkward like hitting up a stranger like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Like that's weird, right? But like if you have photos, you have something to give, like a service.
Yeah.
It's like there's a middle ground there where it's like, hey, like I'm also a human. What are you up to? Hey, what do you like? What shows are you into? Like talking to people, it's just always fun to me. I just enjoy that. So JV Shots is kind of like that kind of vehicle for that.
And you said you went on tour recently, was it?
Yeah, so I did a 2-show. So I did Toronto and Chicago. So I did Majid Jordan's concert.
But
that was the same thing. It's like, that would have been. That started last March. So not this past month, like last year.
Yeah,
2021. Randomly on a Wednesday, I got a DM from Majid Jordan's management. It's like, hey, like we have a music video later this Saturday. Like, do you want to shoot like BTS essentially? And that was something like a convo that I had with some other people that were part of OVO Sound, and they had reached out. It was like just kind of like put in a good word for me to Majid Jordan and them. So like
you haven't done video for them before,
not like music. Oh, I hadn't done anything with Majid Jordan, but I love Majid Jordan's music in general. Like it was like such a surreal moment to me because I was like in first year university and I didn't have Spotify or Apple Music. I don't think anyone had.
Yeah.
But I had like the YouTube, you know those YouTube MP3?
Yeah, the MP3 downloaded.
Play the video, but you saved it.
Yeah.
I remember jamming out to Majid Jordan on my like taking the bus from like Glendridge up to Brock.
Yeah.
Going up the train, I'm jamming out like every song from Majid Jordan.
Yeah.
So like it was such a surreal moment. Like the Drake thing's great and all that. Like that, like those are all surreal moments. But like that moment of like just being like asked to shoot something for Majid Jordan for their new music.
Yeah.
And I love everything Majid Jordan so far. It's like, yo, this is crazy. Going there and then talking to Jordan and Majid. Both of those guys are super personable people.
Yeah.
Right away they're like, hey Jonathan, man, like what's up? Like, so you're doing BTS for us? Like, yeah. Okay, cool. Right before they get on set, Jonathan, you need anything? You want water? It's like, why are you asking? I should be asking you guys.
Yeah.
Like, so like when I felt that, like I felt like that like personality, I felt like there was a connection there. It's like, oh, these guys are great. So I kept a good relationship with the management. And then when I saw the shows kind of pop up, I messaged was like, hey, dude, like, if you need someone, I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, could you... Like, I think there was also... They were asking for Brooklyn, but I couldn't make time. But that was during work.
Okay.
I would have had to like basically call in sick. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I just told them, like I can only do Chicago because that falls on a Saturday. In Toronto, I can... That's at night.
Yeah.
But everything else, I need to be back in town. So I flew to
That's
Chicago.
so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's so crazy
It's
to
such
me.
a weird thing, but I flew to Chicago. And the funny thing is, those guys didn't know initially that I was coming out for Chicago show, like Majid and Jordan. They didn't know I was coming to the Chicago show. So I'm backstage waiting. Like I just came in like not late or anything. Like I just came in backstage. They're about to come up on stage. They walk up. They look at me. He's like, Jonathan, bro, you're here? Like what's happening? And they're like catching up with me because we hadn't seen each other from March till I guess just November of that year, like last November. They're like talking to me. We're catching up. It's like, oh yeah, what did you do this summer? Oh, yeah, what? I'm thinking in my head like, yo. These guys have a sold out show right like on the other side of this door, and they're like chatting me up, talking, and I was like, "Yo, these guys are like the coolest people ever. Like, such nice people." They go on stage, kill it. Later that week, later that week, we did the Toronto show, shot that, and like just those little opportunities of just being able to shoot those stuff, like music that I like, with people that are cool, that they're not like weirdos and not losers, and they're like great people as people by themselves, not even music aside. So like getting that opportunity to shoot that. It was like such a great like kind of like feeling. Whereas the same thing, like I didn't have this pressure to be like I need to hit every tour show.
Yeah,
like I just
leisure.
Just showed up, was able to shoot. I offered my skill set. People loved it. Like the management loved it, and they liked it a lot. And like, I was able to be in my own kind of realm. Text the photos afterwards, like, hey, what do you like this kind of color? Oh, it's cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like very chill. It didn't feel like I was shooting for a publication or anything.
Yeah.
It was cool to shoot for Majid Jordan. And like them to like the OVO Sound, the digital team posting the photos and stuff like that. And, like it's cool to see like stuff like that wasn't actively asked of me to do. Like, hey, do it this way, do it this way. Like it was just I want to shoot this way. They liked it enough that they would upload it too. So it's the same confidence where it's like Shane liked my work. He appreciated. He didn't ask me to do anything different than what I'm doing, and I did it. And he uploaded it, sent it to Nike. Nike loved it. Same idea. It's like. With OVO, I shot all that stuff the way I want to shoot it, and they liked it the way I shot it. So like stuff like that gives me a confidence boost where it's like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, not in like a cocky way or anything, but it felt like, okay, there's more, like, I know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's good to hear other people kind of compliment it or ask and hear about it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like, taking me to another. It was like, oh, now I need to
Yeah.
put pressure. Like, that pressure thing kind of went away. After doing the tour, I could have really been like, okay, now what's next?
Yeah,
like,
I need to get it.
But I kind of was like, okay, whatever comes, comes.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's like, okay, this thing happens. A few months, maybe there might be radio silence on one brand or that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it'll pop up later.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, little things, like, even, like, you reaching out to do this, like, coming out, like, last week, taking
Yeah.
photos, like, it was, like, just like, okay, I have my camera here. I'm going to
Yeah.
sit back there and, like, take photos. Like, it was just, like, fun for me. Just
Something
to
you
do
like
stuff.
to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
you enjoy it, yeah.
It's not biting into my work hours.
Mm-hmm.
I come right after work, show up, take photos. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even taking 3D photos on last Sunday.
Yeah, that
It was
was
just, like, a
crazy.
random thing,
that
right?
was so crazy.
Like, stuff like that, I just love those opportunities. It's just, like, I'm getting back to, like, what JV Shots, the reason why it was made
Mm-hmm.
was just for me to have a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm having, like, the most fun I think I've ever had with it.
Oh, I love that because it's actually crazy. The 3D photos, because when I posted that picture,
Yeah.
you guys were hitting me up. Yo, how'd you get a 3D? I said, yo, listen, it's 2022.
That's so
you guys are still on the 2D thing. You guys let me know when you want to take 3D photos.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
No, I'll ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is there an opportunity you really wish you got that you didn't get?
Yeah. So that kind of fuels that start of the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
So I did something for... Okay, I was trying to think, like, legally, can I say this?
Yeah.
I did something for Tangerine Bank.
Okay, yeah.
Right? It was like International Women's Day so just before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I did, I was off before camera. We talked about Sam,
Yeah, yeah.
who had done a lot of stuff. Like, me and him worked like together with, like, a lot of his, like the South Asian basketball stuff
Mm-hmm.
with Elevation Nation.
Mm-hmm.
But he had reached, at the time, he was working, I guess, marketing with Tangerine. I can ask him afterwards if it's okay to say this.
Yeah.
But, like, he had reached out and just told me, like, hey, we're doing some, just kind of, like, marketing shoot with, like a bunch of, like, I think it was, like, range from grade 5 up to, like,
Mhm.
maybe mid-high school, grade 10, grade 11.
Yeah.
But, like, doing content for them and kind of for their, like, International Women's Day. So it would have been way before that. So, like,
Mhm.
just doing content for them to have looping in the office.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, there's a great opportunity, sure, whatever. And then part of that day, they're giving a ticket to the girls
Mhm.
to go out to the Lakers-Raptors game.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Lakers,
Yeah.
Raptors game. And I asked, like, Sam, like, hey, dude, like, could you ask for a media pass?
Yeah.
Like, through Tangerine, and we can take photos of the girls at the game.
Yeah.
But really, I want to be at the game.
LeBron and those
Right?
guys, yeah.
Exactly. So,
And Drake was there too.
yeah, everyone was there.
That was the
No,
one
no,
when
no,
Russell.
Wait. So
Is that the one when
this
Russell
is
hit the?
Before, no, this is before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So this is LeBron still there, and I'm thinking, I'm like fantasizing, oh, I can be there and take this photo, get this great photo of LeBron. LeBron's gonna follow me.
Yeah.
And then I end up working for Clutch Sports. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
My
You put it
mind's
together in
running
your
amok.
head. Yeah.
And then it turns out, pandemic hits. I'm like, in my head, oh, this is sick. I got to take a photo in an empty gym.
Yeah.
That's not what photographers do.
Yeah.
Like, no NBA photographer's done this. I'm still thinking of, like, a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
Then NBA's, like, Adam Silver goes like, hey, NBA's done. Like, cancel. I'm like, what? But the game's not done.
Yeah.
I got a media pass for this game.
Yeah.
I start freaking out. And that was an opportunity. Like, 'cause the question was, like, what was the opportunity that
Yeah.
that
You
I
really
missed?
wish you would.
I
Yeah.
really, really, really wanted that. Because that was, like, obviously I got the Christmas Day game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eternally grateful for that.
Mhm.
Kyle Lowry, guest, blah, blah, blah. But to get, like, on my own merit, a media pass
Yeah.
through, like, for, like, the game itself and
Mhm.
shooting the event, like, those types of stuff, I was like, man, like, I really, like,
Mhm.
really wish I could have got that opportunity.
Mhm.
Because it was right there in front of me.
Yeah.
Pandemic hit, and
Do
I
you still have the pass? Was it the physical pass?
No, so they're going to give it to me the day of.
Oh,
So
okay.
even then, like, there's no proof of it.
Yeah.
So, like, in my head, it's, like, little things like that. It's like, man, I could have been there for the Lakers game.
Mhm.
Like, and it's the Lakers, too, also. Like,
Yeah.
like, just quality-wise, like, photos, that's the game to be at, right?
Mhm.
But I remember that was, like, a big thing for me.
Mhm.
And that was part of, like, the stewing of, like, oh, the early pandemic, what the heck's wrong? I need to do this, why can't I? That would have been the one-up type of content, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But because I'd missed it, I think that was another, like, humbling moment where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
just because you didn't get the Lakers game, it's all good. Don't worry. Other people didn't get it's not like other people got the Lakers game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Nobody.
no one got the Lakers game.
Yeah.
The Lakers didn't even get the Lakers game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no one got that game. That game never existed.
Yeah.
So when I thought about it that way, it's like, oh, okay. Sure, it would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, pandemic came and it kind of stopped that potential of shooting that game.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, yeah, other than that, yeah, I think it's that. I'm trying to think of other opportunities that I would have missed out on. But I think, like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Sure.
Because I think I would have made, let's say, even like if you asked me 2 years ago,
Mhm.
I could have listed off, oh, I missed all these opportunities.
Mhm.
But I think because I missed those opportunities, other opportunities arose. And then I was able to do those. And because of doing that content,
Mhm.
people liked it. And then it could have taken me another way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's all these things where I could say, oh, this is what I missed. But really, like, I don't know. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, there's no wrong way in life. Right?
Yeah, and it's not really up to you too.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really up to you. Okay, and then for my last question, because this is still so fascinating to me that you do this part time, and like these things, like you're telling me these stories, I'm like, bro, this sounds like a guy who does this part time and dedicates his life to photography. Now, when you started, the photography scene, I wouldn't say is as big as it is now. Like it's easier to enter photography than it was, say, especially for someone of color, per se. Yeah. So now I'm wondering, like, how much time did you really spend trying to learn your craft? Because I feel like now we live in a time where, you know, obviously people talk about like gratification, and you know, we were talking about it before, like if I'm going to try something new, I want to know within the first month or two whether or not I'm going to be good. And maybe that may have been the case to you, maybe it may not have. I'm sure you had frustrations as you were doing it. Like, how much time, especially at the beginning, because you're still working and doing your 9 to 5 and you're going and doing these things, like how much time, what kind of crazy things would you do to try to get good at photography?
I think, like, for me, I didn't have like, okay, I'm going to work from month 1 to month 5, and then I'm going to start DMing people, and then I'm going to show them my like, I feel like with photography and videography, everyone, like any creative, honestly, and I think actually, we can go super general. Everyone in life is constantly reinventing themselves. So like, maybe I had a mini goal in my head where it's like, okay, I got to learn like photography basics, like, okay, if I take this photo with the shutter speed super high up, it's going to be dark. Why is that? Okay, I can crank it a little bit lower. But if I do too low, if someone's running in basketball, they're going to look all faded. Why is that? Okay, the shutter speed has to find this middle ground, but then the ISO has to be... So little things like that, I was YouTubing as it was happening.
Okay.
So like, I'll be at an event, I imagine so I'll see like a photo online, it's like, oh, this looks like a great photo. How do they do this? Okay.
That's what was your first thought? How did they do this?
Yeah, how did they do this? Let me, what's the reverse engineer this whole photographer? Like, how do they do this? How do they look? How do they get this look? Oh my! Oh, okay. They do it this way. Then I'll learn one way, and then honestly, once you get to a point where you meet so many people, you're like, hey, like, do you like Photoshop? Do you like Lightroom? Oh, do you what cube file are you using for your videos? Like little things like that. Like, people don't even ask. But like, you go on YouTube, it's like, hey, have you seen this guy? He has a great resource of content and stuff like that. So because of that, slowly, as I was like kind of, I feel like there's no real answer to this question, because I just constantly reinvented. I thought like, okay, month 3, I was at my peak. But if I look back at that, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was like, oh, that was terrible. But
it's like hours a day.
Like hours a day. Like, it's just like constant. Like, I just feel like maybe I would be like, I would shoot maybe, let's say like I shoot like an hour worth of basketball. Maybe it will take me like 45 minutes to edit down the best pieces. Then from there, what angle? Okay, maybe another 15-20 minutes of putting it like that. Okay, then color grading. And then I look at the clock. It's like, oh man, it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I got work tomorrow. And it's like, okay, well, I got to do this tomorrow, like after work. So I'll go to sleep. During my lunch hour, I'll work on it. Then after work, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? Like,
so that's what I mean. Yeah.
Slowly, I started figuring out I can't pick up everything, because there's like so many times where I'll over reach out and be like, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, wait, I can't do all of this. And I started slowing myself down where I'm like, okay, I gotta learn to say no to certain things, because like, I just don't have the time for it. But not because I don't want to, but because I literally don't have the time. It's very tough, because it's like, you really want to be the person that you can rely on, like people rely on you. But it's like, oh yeah, Jonathan, yeah, that's the dude that can edit all my photos or edit all my videos. Like, I want to be that guy to people, but also, if I say yes to everything, the quality's going to drop. And if my quality drops, people are going to be like, oh yeah, he did kind of iffy job this one time. Or if you rub someone the wrong way once, that could screw you over like forever. That one person's reputation, right? Like, your reputation means so much on a first impression. So if I mess up here, I might not be able to get an opportunity with that person ever again, right? So little things like that, it's like, okay, like, I'm going to constantly put in a little bit of work, pace myself with what I take in. If I do well, okay, I can do it this way. But a lot of it, even like the 3D photos, I would take photos of my friends. Edit that down, color grade it. Oh wait, why is the file size huge? Like, even one thing, I'll give you a perfect example of like that I learned. It was like, I sent those 3D photos to Theo, who sent it to Drake. And he texted me, he was like, hey dude, like, by the way, Drake's having a hard time downloading the file.
Okay.
Because at the time on Photoshop, so what you do with 3D photos is, you have 3 images, or 4 images, you stack them, and you do kind of a stop motion. Okay. So it's like frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, back to frame 3. And you loop that. And that's how you make a GIF, and then from that GIF you make a video file. Okay. So at the time before that, I was constantly making it where it was like 60 frames. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to 60. But because I'm making it that way, the video itself, or like the video itself would be like 60 megabytes for one photo. But obviously that's kind of crazy to ask someone to download like 100 megabyte photo.
Yeah.
Like that's stupid. Like that's like for an 8-second video too.
Yeah.
And then Theo was telling me like, hey, this is a little bit tough. And I was in my I guess I skipped this whole part, but I was in my car about to go to church.
Yeah.
Parked my car, ran back to my house.
Yeah.
Like, how do I change this? Like,
So you went back home.
I was in my driveway the whole time.
Oh, okay.
And I jumped out, went back to my computer. I was like, how do I make this easier for Drake to download? Like that's such a crazy thing to think. Like,
Yeah.
Because in my head it's like, Drake needed to get this photo for him to post it.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have the easiest access to this thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, like even at work, like anything. Like you want to make sure, like if some like, people are going to be prone to like any little thing, any kind of like roadblock, they'll be like, I don't. Okay,
yeah, just forget it. Yeah.
No, I don't want. It's too much headache.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on WeTransfer download. Oh, then I'm going to trim it myself. And then,
Yeah.
like, I imagine asking anyone to do that. Like, it's like even for you guys, I was telling you, oh, you had to screen record.
Yeah, screen record. Yeah.
Like that was a headache. I could have sent you a video, but that also would have taken like 20, 30 minutes of my time just to kind of set up for you guys. And then sending it, quality would drop. Then if I send you a link, you have to download. So the whole thing basically was like, how do I change everything that I've learned in like 10 seconds?
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, let me kill all the frames. Let me loop it, but then put that video clip that only lasts for 0.4 seconds into another video program, like Final Cut Pro, and then copy, paste.
This is just off the top.
I'm just trying to do something. And I look at how much megabytes does this take? Oh, there's only 10 megabytes? But the quality is the same. Okay, cool. Download, export, boom, send it over to Theo. And I jump back in the car, go back to church, and then that's how that whole story happened. But now, ever since that moment, I never do this like 60 frame 3D GIF thing.
Yeah.
I do 4 frames.
Yeah.
And then I just loop like on like a different, it's hard to explain without
but
but
still.
like there was like a whole process that like something that I learned on the spot.
And under pressure too.
Under
because
pressure,
I'm saying
But I think,
a lot of people struggle to think under pressure.
Yeah, I mean at that time I think I was just kind of like, I don't know. I was just going like I don't know. It's like you know those like mom strengths where it's like I gotta lift up the star. My child's underneath.
Yeah.
Like my thing is like I gotta get this photo to Drake right now. Like I gotta edit this. I don't care. I need to make this the easiest possible thing. So like little things like that. I'm like looking. I'm like, okay, how? I tried like probably like 5 different things before that, but like obviously that's the way it happened. And now I got even like what was it? Maybe like I got my iPad like last year, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me do it the same way. Like I'm learning different ways of Procreate. Like, okay, let me do an animated GIF. Oh, there's like a different, like I'm learning different ways to do the same things. I'm just kind of reinventing it slowly. So it's the same thing I've done maybe like 3-4 years ago, but it's a whole other process now. But it's more refined. I can sharpen the image. I can make it look better than it actually did. Like I learned I can make like some of my 3D things pop a little bit better. Like for me, from what I'm seeing, for you guys probably don't notice it.
Yeah.
But for me, I notice it. But I realized that I was like 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
It took me. I found out like, what day is today? Tuesday.
Today's Saturday.
So wow.
Yeah.
That was terrible timing. Okay, so I found out on last Sunday for the first time. Like, oh, I can do this. So I just did it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I don't know. Like it's just stuff like that just changes all the time, and I'm just learning all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just like, I don't know. There's like no like time. There's no straight time to me to say, oh yeah, this is how much time, whatever. But literally every waking moment after 5 o'clock. I'm just working on stuff. But then now, after the pandemic, I realized I was stretching myself thin because of that.
Yeah.
So now I'm just kind of doing whatever, like picking up golf.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me put that same kind of like crazy adrenaline. I was like, oh, let me learn how to swing. Okay, how am I'm messing up? Let me get a teacher now. Let me get this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just put that same kind of energy, even like COD, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When the pandemic was like, okay, why is my aim assist not working? Why is this? Oh, I gotta get like this. Okay, I gotta get like the little thumb stack on top of the stick. Like dumb stuff like that. Like I'm like doing the dumbest stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the same drive that I had with JV Shots, where I'm like, let me just put that in everything I do.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So now I kind of feel like a calmness with like when it comes to JV Shots. Obviously, if something like someone asked me to do like 3D graphics, let's say like rendering 3D, I need to learn that.
Yeah.
Like I need to download Blender, but now I need a better computer. Like there's like little things like I have stuff in my head where I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do next.
Yeah.
It's just like, do I have the time for it? I don't want to do stuff and like do it half-assed.
Yeah.
And then it just, I look at the final result like,
and
it's like, oh, that's terrible. Okay, I'm never going to do this again. I don't want to have a sour thought on like, oh yeah, I tried it, I didn't like it. Like, let me just give it my all, but I'm not in the right mindset, let's say, for like Blender, which is like a 3D programming thing. Okay. But like, I'm not in the right mindset right now to try it, because I know I'm going to mess up, or like, it's not going to look that great. But maybe in like a few months, I'll have free time for like 2 weeks, I think. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's just go at this. But
I love that. Yo, thank you.
Appreciate
having you on, bro.
Thank you for having me.
That was amazing. Holy, that makes you want to drop everything to go become a photographer. Now I want to go home and search a Blender.
That's what the YouTube links is.
Oh yeah, yo, that's lovely.
The whole world.
Damn.
But yeah.
Holy.